Hassan is just standing up and Idubbbz is on his knees and he's... Because the way that he's saying that Hassan's an expert is a joke. That's like going up to some kid who's like severely lazy and is doing football instead of learning math and saying that he's the smartest cookie this town's ever seen. More fit for OnlyFans than it is for YouTube. We should ask Anissa. She knows the terms of service.
Wouldn't let that happen to me though.
Idubbbz is unironically evil, featuring Hassan and Denims tried to ruin Ethan's family.
I'm sure there's anti-Semitic people that are attacking you guys, but they're not me. They're not Anissa.
They're me. He's talking about me. I'm the anti-Semite that's attacking Ethan. I'm just kidding. I've been nice to Ethan. I've been fair to him. I don't watch his content. I'm not a fan of him. I don't watch his live stream. I don't send him money. I don't jerk him off or suck the tip. But I've been nice to him. I've been fair to him. As someone who's been a victim of relentless harassment, I think I've been totally fair. I think I've been fair to him and I've been impartial. I've said that Idubbbz has been the one who's largely responsible for the relentless harassment that Ethan's been getting. And I think that's fucked.
It's not Hassan.
I should go to the old city so I can get my fucking shit pushed in by some of the most inbred
Talking about Jews? What does this mean?
fundamentalist hicks.
It's not all of these other creators that you're...
A fundamentalist hick? Wouldn't that be about Christians, like in the South? Fundamentalist hicks. Like the people who are hicks, that's like a slur. I don't know if it's technically a slur. It's for like the white people who are hillbillies, right? They're hicks. And those people are Christians, but I guess they're Jews?
By some of the most inbred fundamentalist hicks.
Inbred.
It's not all of these other creators that you're attacking.
Bro, they're literally making up stories to justify falsely calling CPS.
The other house is just like covered in dog and he has kids and his kids like crawl into the dog God forbid. I don't know what they do with it. They contracted a...
What does that mean? If they're crawling in dog shit, what does he mean they don't know what they do with it? What, they're gonna trade shit? Hey, you want? I'll trade you 5 shit for an emerald. I don't know what they do with the shit once they get it.
Crawl into the dog God forbid. I don't know what they do with it. They can...
What is that supposed to mean? Like they're snacking on it? I love shit! I know you would do that, and that's understandable. You look like the kind of... If we zoom into the beard, I think we might... If we zoom into the beard here, does anyone see any poop? Maybe he eats poop. That's fine, but I don't know what the fill in the blank is supposed to imply. Just because you do it doesn't mean the kids will do it. Yes, I'm a mud creature. Have a great stream. Thank you so much. Thank you for the $10. I appreciate that. Mwah.
A parasite that I had previously never heard of in my life called Giardia from the dog that is all over his house.
So this is not a joking matter, by the way. It can be very severe and deadly to small children. I mean, much like many other illnesses, it's very, very, very dangerous.
Why does she talk like she knows a fucking thing about medical stuff, diseases? She talks like she knows anything, and it bothers me. Okay, editor, we need to cut that out. I'm on one tonight.
Get the same sicknesses that adults get. It makes sense why he doesn't care about Palestinian children when he is neglecting his own.
That makes no sense. No. He cares about his children, and he probably, obviously, would care about Palestinian children, as any human being with decency would care about the lives of children. I think what you're trying to do is strawman Ethan. I think what you're trying to say is that because this homeless man on the screen is theory crafting about Ethan's children, that's for some reason, because this homeless person said Ethan doesn't care about his children, that you're not going to decide that he doesn't care about Palestinian children. Ha ha. Ha ha. Ha ha. Did you consider that? Checkmate. Shut up.
From the dog that is all over his house.
So this is not a joking matter, by the way. It can be very severe and deadly to small children. I mean, much like many other illnesses, it's very, very, very dangerous when infants get the same sicknesses that adults get. It makes sense why he doesn't care about Palestinian children when he...
She sounds really stupid. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Guys, oh my god, I have to stop being so mean. Because if I'm mean, guys, I had a video taken down today for violating YouTube's terms and service on harassment and bullying, and I'm like ultra schizo about being mean to people, because apparently, if you're mean to people, then... But no, because Nuxanor... Yo, Nux, are you still in the chat? If you're in chat, type, because you've made like 20 videos on Hassan, and none of them have been taken down. But at the same time, I make one video calling fat people who make videos on TikTok saying a day in the life of a fat person. I call that disturbing, and my video gets removed. So clearly there's a double standard here. I guess making fun of Hassan is fine. Making fun of people who eat and film themselves eating for content are not fine. I don't know. Nux is here and I missed him. I don't know. He may have left. I just called for him. I did roll call and he may have dipped out, so I don't really know. He may have banished. I think he's gone. I think he typed one thing and he left. That's it. That's crazy. He just was here for a second. This guy doesn't give a fuck. He's like, I'm in and I'm out. Call me fucking... Who's in and out? Johnny Sins?
It's all over his house.
So this is not a joking matter, by the way. It can be very severe and deadly to small children. I mean, much like many other illnesses, it's very, very, very dangerous when infants get the same sicknesses that adults get. It makes sense?
She studied Giardia. She has studied Giardia. She can explain what it is and why it's bad. She's a very smart person. She's been to medical school. She's gotten every required credential to become a doctor. But instead of being a doctor, she's a streamer, obviously.
That's why he doesn't care about Palestinian children when he is neglecting his own. How is this happening? How is it happening? How is this happening?
Yeah, I mean, like, who's sitting in the chat watching this, bro? This is chopped. This is chopped. We got chop shit on the right-hand side of my screen.
How is this happening? How is it happening? How is this happening?
Cry me a f***ing river. Her chat like saying, oh, we're gonna call CPS. Oh, someone should call CPS.
Speaking of chop, this guy's also chop as fuck. Thank you, CPS, for checking on this poor baby. Brother, let me tell you something, bad empanada. Let me tell you something, bruh. The reason that you're doing this is not because you care about children, okay? If anything, you should not be allowed to produce your own children. If your seed was ever to make it way into a woman and fertilize that egg, I would make sure that that egg, that child, you know, put up for adoption, put into better hands. You cannot protect a child. You just can't do it. There's no reason that you would be able to do it based on the clips I've seen. You don't have the capacity. You can't do it. And so, yeah, I don't know if CPS checking on Ethan Klein's baby is going to make you a better person, nor a better father, nor someone who actually cares about the children. I don't think actually asking for CPS to check in on Ethan Klein's children is coming from a place of concern. You're just trying to get one over on Ethan Klein. You don't give a fuck about his children.
Yes, he's not even remotely like that. In fact, a CPS call is warranted.
Where they're calling CPS, Child Protective Services, to come to our house and break up our family.
You're not the biggest victim on the internet, Ethan.
Nah, apparently it's these guys.
Be mean to them. If they feel bad, if they feel harassed, honestly, great. I don't give a
Well, pretty much a self-report right there. Something else to note. All these people who are going to say
Internet, Ethan.
Nah, apparently it's
that these people are the biggest victims on the internet, right? So when none of these people in frame have children, childless, they basically cannot claim that Ethan is not the biggest victim on the internet when he is responsible for the children that he has in his home who are being traumatized by CPS and FBI visits.
these guys.
Be mean to them. If they feel bad, if they feel harassed, honestly, great. I don't give a them. Each and every one of them. We need to be mean to these guys. We need to be assholes. They deserve it.
I love that Idubbbz is crying because him and his wife got called a cuck, but then he crazy makes Ethan for people role-playing killing his wife.
Wait, everyone! Ela Klein's in the house. Guys, she was just a secretary. Ela Klein.
Take those prisoners. Take those IDF genocide.
Dude, I think I ran into this guy at VidCon 2022. You want to know a funny story? I saw this guy at this fucking rooftop event that was happening like 2 or 3 years ago, and I don't remember anything besides the fact that he was talking to Bo Blacks for like 30 minutes. I just had no idea what was going on. And then by the time I noticed that this was happening, no, it's not Fiverr. Cameo. The Cameo guy who dresses up as Jesus had come up to me and said his kids watch my videos. So, that's what happened.
Guys, she was just a secretary. Ela Klein.
Take those prisoners. Take those IDF genocidal soldiers. Where do they keep the secretaries? Secretary got...
Human skulls are getting mailed to their house.
Around the same time, we received 2 human skulls in the mail at our home, which led us to having a very pleasant interview with the FBI. Things have progressed well past the point of that's just what the internet does.
I'm done being nice to Ethan. I gave it a chance. My sincerity and my empathy in that last video was...
Big on the empathy. I've noticed this guy is using the E word a bunch. Empathetic Dubs. That's what he calls himself now. I've noticed that there's been a shift, right? He used to be racist Dubs. He used to say NF, okay? Don't ask me what NF stands for. I won't tell you. He can tell you. Maybe not now, but he could have told you 6 or 7 years ago. But he's Idubbbz now. He's not Idubbbz. He's Idubbbz. The E stands for empathy. Because he's very empathetic. He thinks that Ethan Klein... Sorry, what was that? What's up, Idubbbz? Idubbbz, what'd you say there? Hold on.
My sincerity and my empathy in that...
So
that last video was real.
So the empathy and sincerity that he displayed toward Ethan Klein in his content cop, lol, how can you be empathetic and sincere in a content cop? I mean, necessarily you have to be rude and disparaging and critical of people in the content cop in order for it to be an effective piece of content, lol.
Fans and orbiters are retweeting people saying, I'd love to swing their kid by the legs into an oak tree
That's normal.
over and over again.
Maybe if Ethan's able to get some help, maybe if he stops harassing other creators, maybe if he does these things, eventually he'll find peace.
Wait, what did Hassan retweet here? Hassan, do you believe the IDF is a terrorist organization? Ethan, I said yes. I think it's fair to characterize in that way. Hassan said, do you think your wife is a terrorist? Of course not. Hassan retweeted this. So basically, Hassan is retweeting content from this person who is calling Ethan's wife a terrorist. I do think that it's different when when Gila Klein, okay, so Gila Klein was forced to be part of the IDF for a brief period of time because it's mandatory if you're Israeli. And from what I understand, she didn't kill anyone, and she didn't necessarily, in the genocide. And so I don't think it would be fair to call her a terrorist.
Harassing other creators. Maybe if he does these things, eventually he'll find peace.
All of this is happening and somehow Ethan is labeled the harasser. How can you not see what's going on? They're doxing him and trying to take away his kids for mild political differences. That's why this video is sponsored by Aura. And a topic where drama stems from Ethan and Hassan's disagreements on Israel-Palestine. Now you might think Ethan must be super far right or something. No, they agree on 95% of things.
Do you believe that Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza?
Yes.
Okay, great. This is a disagreement that you and I have.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. If you want to add that, like the genesis of Zionism included, the displacement and, the ravaging of the culture that existed there, then I would agree with you.
He even cried for Palestinians getting killed, relating to being a new dad.
As a father, it's even hard to talk about. This dude was holding his infant. It was like a year old. He was like patting her on the back and saying like his final goodbye. I mean, didn't expect to get emotional about that, but like, I'm a new dad and that shit really fucks me up.
Yeah, this wasn't good enough because Anissa is 50% Irish and 50% Lebanese and grew up in Canada, so she can tap into empathy that Ethan can't comprehend.
I'll say it for anyone who doesn't know. Anissa is half Lebanese and half Irish. For anyone unfamiliar, the Irish have been on the receiving end of a lot of oppression and genocide. On the part of the Lebanese, they've received a lot of oppression and attacks from the IDF.
Dude, this guy is just unbelievably condescending. The way that he talks about these things as if they're somehow esoteric and something that you'd have to crack open the dusty test book to understand is just embarrassing. Everyone knows that the Irish were oppressed. Everybody knows that Lebanese people are mistreated.
And half Irish. For anyone
But in specific, if you look at Anissa Jamha, I don't think she's been on the receiving end of any genocide. I don't think her people have been genocided while she's been alive. As a matter of fact, I'd say the worst thing she's probably had to deal with was her being blamed for the idea of Idubbbz going up to Tana Mojo and saying to say, you guys can complete the sentence there, fill in the blanks. That's the worst thing that's happened to her reputation. The worst part of her reputation is that she has been made responsible for Idubbbz calling Tana the N-word, or he didn't call her the N-word, but he told her to say the N-word, and that's the worst part of her career to many people, right? And so you look at what he's trying to do now and paint her as a victim. It's just like, are you smoking crack or meth?
Familiar, the Irish have been on the receiving end of a lot of oppression and genocide. On the part of the Lebanese, they've received a lot of oppression and attacks from the IDF. So Anissa is very well familiar with the propaganda and the coming out of Israel.
Terrible as the Holocaust.
That's just a terrible argument that because you're part of a ethnic group that you're familiar with the state in which the group originates from current ongoing political conflicts. That's stupid. I have no idea because I'm Irish, I'm French, couldn't name a single thing that's happening with the Irish and the French right now. I couldn't do it. And a lot of people are like that. A lot of people who are ethnically something that's not American, right? Or something that where their, let's just say grandparents are from another country, couldn't tell you a single thing about that country or what's going on with them. That's normal.
Familiar with the propaganda and the coming out of Israel.
Terrible as the Holocaust was, obviously it was horrendous, and how disgusting the doctor was that did the experiments did it on Jewish people. They found a couple of really groundbreaking discoveries through that experimentation.
Yeah, she prefers.
Wait, what?
That Nazi.
Wait. When was this?
Propaganda. I am also half Irish, so that makes me an authority on all things in the Middle East, unlike
Yeah, you see how fucking stupid it is?
Hassan, who is 0% Irish. Ian does this appeal to authority.
I think what makes you an expert on Irish politics is understanding Irish politics, not being ethnically part Irish.
You're gonna make Ethan seem like an idiot, but the authority he's appealing to is Hassan.
I would say that Hassan was very well equipped to talk about that topic. He's just got done capturing a massive progressive audience who are very politically savvy. They follow Hassan. Hassan is strictly a political streamer, so this is something they're very keyed into.
I have dozens of videos documenting how this dude will blatantly lie and make up conspiracies when covering topics or arguing with people. But we don't even have to reference those videos because another day has passed, and that means Hassan has told a whole new set of lies. So I just want to give you a sample of just how dishonest this guy is. Ethan talks about Jewish heritage in the Middle East. Hassan then ignores that and argues against something Ethan didn't even say.
Hassan attempts to deny Jewish heritage in the Middle East. It characterizes them not as indigenous, but as white colonizers. This is
The Israeli heritage in the Middle East is now tarnished by, well, first of all, Israeli heritage in the Middle East. What the f is Israeli heritage in the Middle East? That doesn't exist. Shut the f up.
He didn't say Israeli heritage. He said Jewish heritage.
Talking about a 76-year process, okay? You can't really call that heritage in the Middle East, okay? But as far as Jewish heritage in the Middle East, that's valid. You can talk about individually.
What a fucking dumbass. Let's rephrase what he said to strawman the rephrasing, but then I'll point out what he actually said as a decent argument. If you're talking about this thing, then that's an okay argument. That thing is just what he said.
But as far as Jewish heritage in the Middle East, that's valid. You can talk about individual.
That's valid. So his point's valid. So what's the point of even sidetracking to argue against a straw man? Oh, I remembered. It's because you want to come across as intelligent to your chat of mouth-breathing idiots.
Arab Jews and whatnot, but that's not what you're talking about. You're playing.
Well, but that's what he is talking about. Correct or incorrect? Let's check.
characterizes them not as indigenous.
Ethan didn't even say.
Hassan attempts to deny Jewish heritage.
Jewish, not Israeli. Not a single. The Israeli word was never dropped. Let's see.
It characterizes them not as indigenous, but as white colonizers. This is
okay, his pause comes in. So his pause comes in right after he says Jewish, not Israeli. Fucking liar. Absolutely snakish. Absolutely reptilian. Reptilian, possibly chameleon, possibly lizard. I don't know. I couldn't get. We'll have to get back to you on that. I'll run the DNA tests.
Heritage in the Middle East, okay? But as far as Jewish heritage in the Middle East, that's valid. You can talk about individually Arab Jews and whatnot, but that's not what you're talking about. You're playing fast and loose, making this dangerous conflation between Judaism and Zionism once again, over and over and over and over again.
You're the one doing that.
Hassan is denying Israeli heritage in the Middle East. The Israeli heritage in the Middle East, you know what that is? Death and destruction, genocide and apartheid. That's the only thing that Israeli heritage is in the Middle East. If you're talking
grandstanding over something that was never said exactly. So what he'll do is he can make an argument that Hassan banned on Twitch. Is this true? Let me go check. We get a live update from someone in my chat, probably just lying for me to type in twitch.tv/Hassanabi, but I am going to do it. I am going to play in for this most likely completely false thing. Let's see. Oh my God! You're right! He's actually fucking banned! Holy shit! Guys? What? 1 day ban, let me see. Yeah, most of these seem like nothing. 1 in chat if you think it's gonna be longer than a day, 2 in chat if not. You guys think it's just a 1 day ban? Maybe, we'll see.
Talking about Jewish heritage in the Middle East, that's a little different, of course.
That's literally what he's talking about. Ethan won the argument without even being there. Hassan's chat finally corrects him for fundamentally misunderstanding Ethan's point, but it doesn't stop him from declaring victory in this imaginary conversation.
Oh, he didn't say Israeli heritage in the Middle East. He said Jewish heritage in the Middle East. My bad. Well, let me tell you, Jewish heritage in the Middle East is not Israeli heritage, okay? So you can't talk about Israel while talking about Jewish heritage in the Middle East. So my point still stands.
No, it doesn't!
It's out of control. Hassan makes up in the debate with Ethan that Iraq gave a right to return for Jewish Arabs after they were kicked out.
The Iraqi Jews can go back to their home tomorrow. The Egyptian Jews can go back to their homes tomorrow.
Absolutely.
That is insane. You are fucking out of your
yes,
mind.
They can.
Okay,
they
how? Tell me how.
Can.
How did
they
the Jews go back to
they
their?
They don't want to, and I understand why they wouldn't want to because America fucking
they want
invaded
to.
and destroyed Iraq.
Why
but
would
yes, they could.
Loaderbox immediately pointed out that Iraq return law specifically excludes Jews. He can't even tell the truth about the pop he's drinking.
Hold on, what are you drinking?
It's a Dr. Pepper cream
Isn't that
soda.
who owns that?
I don't know, but it's not on the BDS
Are you
national
sure?
BDS list.
We'll double check.
Yes, I'm 100% sure.
Hassan is so incompetent, he came into a single Google search that shows that the owner of Dr. Pepper is a staunch Zionist. The point of this isn't.
So what's the point of being someone who is going to appeal to people who want to be appealed to through virtue signaling if you're not even going to fucking do that? If you can't even do the job of being the savior for Palestinians by by not drinking Dr. Pepper, then what's the point? What's the point? Your entire goal is to stand there and not drink Dr. Pepper. You're the person who's specifically instructed to not drink Coke, to not drink Dr. Pepper, or else that girl is going to run up to you like she did in that one clip. She'll come back for seconds. She'll say, you can't drink that. So what's the point of acting like you're not going to drink Dr. Pepper because you care about these things if you're not, if you're just going to drink Dr. Pepper? I don't fucking get it. Is Acheeto Jewish? No, I'm not Jewish at all. I don't have a drop of Jewish heritage.
Israel is in the right or all Palestinians are bad.
But I still think that Hassan is just a fucking absolute grifter. He is a final boss of grifting. I'm playing Dark Souls 1 on my PlayStation 3. I'm not even close to the final boss. But if I wasn't playing Dark Souls 3 and I was playing Grift Souls, then I know he would be the final boss. I wouldn't even, I mean, no spoilers, but...
so that he will confidently lie if it makes him look better in the moment. He didn't know about any of these things, yet he lies to try and act like he's in the right on all of them. It's effortless for him. And it's because he doesn't care about the truth. All he does is anti-West propaganda. It's his brand.
Just like I do propaganda.
I'm a propagandist.
Well, no.
For the record.
And when you call him out on it, he doesn't correct the record. No, he molds and hides behind the dead bodies of Palestinians to avoid accountability.
I will never forget these monstrous pieces of for looking at a situation like the one happening, the one unfolding in Gaza, and choosing to never say anything about it, only to then make these drama videos to call out the people who call out the
yeah, but they're calling you out for things that are far different than your support for Palestine. Do you know how many streamers support Palestine, but they're not you? Let's play a game, Hassan. Why are you specifically getting hate, not people who are defending Palestine? You know how many Palestinian defenders there are on YouTube, on Twitch, people who are supportive of this cause that aren't getting a drop of hate? You know, iShowSpeed supports Palestine. Where's his content cop? You know, I'm sorry, that's not correct. Where is Idubbbz teaming up with him? You understand that it's different because you're Hassan Abi, right? You're the person who holds egregious double standards, who strawmans his opponent's arguments, who has actively been part of a movement that is against Ethan Klein in such a way that has resulted in him getting CPS called on his children. You're a piece of shit. You're a fucking garbage human being. You are. And it's cool that you have money. I like money. I think money's great. But I think when a lot of the money that you make is due to your news coverage, and that thing that you're doing by covering the news is very sloppy, it is wrong. A lot of his news coverage has been wrong. And I also think that you're a propagandist, as you admit. Like, I don't have to rewind far to see that you've admitted that you're a propagandist. I think that makes you a piece of shit. Being a propagandist makes you a shitty person. If you uncritically produce information that is slanted, either by overt lying or omission or whatever, like, you're a piece of shit. You are.
Israeli government. It is disgusting.
Nobody cares that you criticize Israel. It's that you're making stuff up. He will then slander people for calling.
Exactly. So no one like the amount of people that criticize Israel is like fucking like 1,000, like the amount of streamers, I should say, that criticize Israel. You could just fucking oh my god, I can't speak. There's a lot of streamers who criticize Hassan's ban is perm. You're lying. No. If it's permanent, then it's fucking permanent, because Gideon was permanently banned and he's still not back. If this is correct, then boys, we might have to do a crab rave. This might be a crab rave scenario. Let me take a peek here. Hassan banned. Wow, I'm Hassan Piker. I keep telling all my autistic fans to kill all the people I disagree with, and now they're actually doing it. I'm retarded and I'm going to jail. Is this true, chat? One in chat if it's actually perma. If you know that it's a perma, then you're fucking goated. Dox him if he's lying. Do not fucking do that. Hello, Death Trooper. You're getting fucking time out for that. Don't do that shit, okay? How do I time you out? Let's do that. Let's do 10 minutes. Take some time to think about it. Big if true.
Calling him out, repeating that Loner Box and Destiny were paid by Israel to go to the West Bank. The account that made the claim admits to making it up. Doesn't matter to Hassan, still reports the lie.
Also, I went on a paid trip to Israel, and that's not weird. Not weird that I went on a paid trip to Israel.
These guys spent their own money to do on-the-ground journalism in the West Bank, recorded and covered how the IDF burnt down fruit markets of civilians, interviewed tons of people. Well, they're Israeli operatives because they don't agree with every single thing that Hassan says. Hassan goes on vacation to France, Japan, Australia, all over the course of the war, and then reads Twitter for his research. Yet he claims he's doing the important journalism.
But if it's between me going live and giving you 10 hours of on the ground, 10 hours of reporting from the ground at a critical moment, at a critical time, versus not going live that day just so I can go on Piers Morgan and fucking yell at him, I think it's selfish of me to take the Piers Morgan route.
On the ground.
That makes no fucking sense. Like, what are you talking about?
I think it's selfish of me to take the Piers Morgan route.
On the ground. Dude's either in his hotel suite or the third floor of his LA mansion. When told that he should go to Israel, Hassan says he can't because it would be too dangerous.
That's your argument? You got it? You can enter Israel? What's more to say? Brother, I am not going to Nazi Germany, okay? I hope you understand this. Brother, I'm not going to Israel so you can f***ing execute me, okay? Stop
This fucking guy, dude, perpetual victim. You are not going to get actually, they might execute him. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just gonna say you're not gonna get executed if you go to Israel, but he might. Like, he honestly might. I mean, he might get arrested in North America. Like, I mean, with the amount of stuff that's happened recently, I mean, he might get arrested for inciting violence. So never say never.
Israel. Stop demanding that I go to Nazi Germany.
He was invited to do actual journalism in Gaza, but wouldn't because they couldn't guarantee his safety.
The thinking about going to Gaza thing is also kind of stupid because I was invited by literal journalists that work in Gaza, okay? And I unfortunately most likely will not be able to go because the people that I did talk to said that they could not give me security assurances that Israel would not kill me or anyone really.
How does he think on-the-ground journalism works? There's a danger to it. That's why it's called on the ground. Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way to do it without the risk of you getting injured. Like, this guy doesn't understand. He's like, well, I don't want to do this thing because there's a risk of the thing being the thing. Like, I don't want to go to Disneyland because there's a risk I might go on the rides. Like, yeah, it's baked into the cake. The part of the journalism that actually makes it interesting is that there's a risk to it. There's an edge to it. If everyone could do it, if there was no risk to it, then it wouldn't be interesting. It wouldn't be a specialized thing. If any absolute sludge-fed, shattered lava lamp-built person could go and do on-the-ground journalism, then it wouldn't really be interesting, would it? The whole idea is that by doing it, you're legitimizing yourself as a political voice.
Buckingham went to Lebanon when Israel was bombing them. Places he was at were bombed the next day.
Brandon Buckingham goes to places that are legitimately run with, that they're legitimately ruined by drugs and crime, and he'll interview the local people and get an actual look into how the place that he's visiting is getting destroyed.
By the time he finished the video,
and he doesn't have a political edge. He's just voicing what he's seeing, and he's finding the people that are living here, and they're getting, he's getting their take.
People he was with were now...
Yeah, he's a real human being.
Yeah, but you know...
He's not a propagandist.
Hassan, the real journalist, thinks reading Twitter is reporting from the ground. Idubbbz analysis.
I would say that Hassan was very well equipped to talk about that topic. They follow Hassan. Hassan is strictly a political streamer.
If Hassan is a good voice to talk about this stuff, then if I read Twitter uncritically for the next 2 weeks about the Israel-Palestine conflict, then I would too, okay? This logic makes no goddamn sense, and I think he knows it makes no goddamn sense deep down, but what I think he's trying to do is find the people who thinks that it doesn't make no goddamn sense and appeal to them. Because to some people, Hassan is really an expert. He's really the voice of the generation. And to those people, Idubbbz just made the greatest point you've ever fucking heard. Like, he's so dumb. He's so stupid, and the way that he sits there and glazes Hassan, I mean, am I allowed to watch this on YouTube? This may as well be a fucking Pornhub video, because Hassan is just standing up and Idubbbz is on his knees and he's doing the fucking IShowSpeed Gawk Gawk 3000 machine, because the way that he's saying that Hassan's an expert is a joke. That's like going up to some kid who's like severely lazy and is doing football instead of learning math and saying that he's the smartest cookie this town's ever seen.
They're very keyed into.
The only way you would think this is if you're a Hassan fan.
I'm more extreme.
Yeah, well, he's not just a fan. He's getting on fucking both knees and giving him some head that, honestly, is more fit for OnlyFans than it is for YouTube. We should ask Anissa. She knows the terms of service.
And Ian, where I'm like pretty anti-capitalist. I hate landlords. I hate the system that we're in.
My understanding is that the property owners who have properties there choose just not to rent it at all.
Yeah, kill them. Kill those motherfuckers in a video game. Sorry. Holy shit. Murder those motherfuckers in the street. Let the streets soak in their fucking red capitalist bloods, dude.
Whoa, Ian's about to get cucked live.
Is there anything you want to promote while you're here? I don't know.
Creator Clash 2. Give us money for charity next year.
All right, Creator Clash 2, guys.
They raised $0 from Creator Clash 2. Even when Ian describes Hassan...
He doesn't even sound enthusiastic to promote it. Listen to the way Hassan dreadfully goes along with their plug.
Here, I don't know.
Creator Clash 2. Give us money for charity next year.
All right.
Ready?
All right, Creator Clash 2, guys.
They raised $0...
All right, guys, Creator Clash 2.
Dollars from Creator Clash 2. Even when Ian describes Hassan's America deserved 9/11 moment, he makes it sound so much more nuanced and sophisticated than it actually was. An anger-induced crash out.
America deserved 9/11, dude. F it. I'm saying it.
That is someone who is extremely frustrated and passionate about a particular topic. In this,
You can find a way to clip that and make it so that any person who's incited terrorism sounds legit. You want to find the people at Charlottesville that were chanting "Jews will not replace us," holding up tiki torches. That is someone who is very passionate about a particular subject. This guy's too good.
in this case, American imperialism
In this case, Jewish what is it called? Occupied government or whatever they say.
and terrorism. You could
Defend it, Ian.
have looked
Defend
into
it.
that. You
Defend
could have
it.
talked to Hassan a little bit more and found out what his international politics opinions are. But you wouldn't even need to do that. You can look at it online.
If you look at it online, Hassan crashed out because Dan Crenshaw mentioned that military bases are an important part of national and global security.
You're not the only one that's told me this, and particularly not the only one that's told me this that has a military background, saying it's virtually impossible to prevent any of this stuff without having bases over there.
That's 100% right. Yeah, I mean, and you need that relationship with the host nation, of course, that you want to partner with, and that's generally what we do, especially in the special operations community.
Hassan's academic response was to say that Dan deserved to be raped by soldiers.
What the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with this dude? Didn't he go to war and like literally lose his eye because some mujahideen, a brave soldier, f***ed his eye hole with their dick? Isn't that how he lost his dumbass eye? Because he got his eye hole by a brave soldier? America deserved 9/11, dude. We totally brought it on ourselves, dude.
Who's we? When he says we brought it upon ourselves, aren't you like a foreigner? Aren't you literally not from America? Where was he born? Let me do this. Hold on. Hassan Abi. Where was he born? I have nothing better to type. Where was he born? He was born in New Jersey, so he is American. So why does he act like he cares so little about America? You're born in New Jersey. You're 30 minutes from 9/11. What? What a terrible thing to say as someone who is specifically near it.
Holy shit.
And what's funny is if Hassan just played 20 more seconds of the video, Dan would have acknowledged Hassan's...
Send him back? Yeah, honestly, send him back to New Jersey. Honestly, New Jersey's a bigger shithole than whatever country you want to fucking reference that he might be from background-wise. Like, people think Turkey's a shithole, New Jersey's worse.
Again, I'm not. I think it is reactionary to just assume that we have bad intentions all the time and that everything is America's fault.
Well, I mean, that's the reactionary, like, Hasanabi take right there. Yeah, I
think
agree.
it is reactionary to just assume that we have bad intentions all the time and that everything...
Well, because he's the America bad until proven not bad streamer. And instead of, like, innocent until proven guilty, for Hassan, it's America guilty until proven innocent.
America's fault. I hear that constantly.
I don't really want to listen to a New Jerseyan, though. Like, why would I ever want to hear what that person would have to say about the world?
Mostly coming from...
A Turkish New Jerseyan.
The left?
That's a joke.
But that isolationist sentiment certainly comes from the right as well. And it's a reaction. It's a reaction to the Iraq War and some of the mistakes we made there. These matters are complex. And they deserve complex reasoning and analysis and a little nuanced understanding. And I just think that's how we should look at it. We don't say that we're always right. That's
That's not what I'm saying.
When confronted.
Yeah, of course. I think a lot of people who are pro-America would admit that America's done some bad things. I don't think there's a single country that doesn't have blood on their hands. And if you're looking for a perfect country, then you're going to have to imagine it. Generated in ChatGPT. Use Google VO3 because it doesn't exist. America, I think, is the best country to currently exist due to basically everything. And if you look at other countries, they all have flaws. And America has our own flaws. I'm not going to say that America's perfect. When you say that America, due to its imperfections, deserves 9/11 is fucking retarded. Yeah, that's just retarded.
By his uncle on the Young Turks, Hassan backpedals, blaming it on English being his second language.
But you understand now, and not just now, but you understood fairly soon after you said it, that saying Americans deserve 9/11 is a completely different statement and one that's wrong.
No, I didn't say Americans deserve 9/11. I said America deserves 9/11.
Right, but that's
and
still
in that
wrong.
Moment, well, maybe you can chalk it up to English being my second language or whatever you want to chalk it up to.
They're speaking perfect English, by the way, and this motherfucker has the audacity. You can chalk it up to English. Me no hablas inglés. No entiendo, por favor. Donde está la biblioteca? Hassan, you're speaking perfect fucking English, and for you to sit here and act like it's due to your second language, then go on Duolingo before you talk about how America deserved 9/11, you dumb fuck. Why would you ever say something so confidently if you're gonna now try to act like you didn't say it so confidently? If you want to act like you said something due to ignorance, then at least sound a little bit more fucking ignorant when you say it. This guy sounded so convicted when he said it. He 10 toes down. America deserved 9/11. When those planes flew into those buildings, fact check true, give it a 2 thumbs up, 5 big booms. Like,
well, maybe you can chalk it up to English.
He's also, is he ESL? He's not ESL. I don't know. He's born in New Jersey.
Being my second language or whatever you want.
To be fair, they speak more Italian than English in New Jersey.
Chalk it up to.
This wasn't a thoughtful commentary. It's him having an emotional outburst instead of engaging with why Dan is wrong. Maybe
2 big booms? Okay.
he is. I don't know. And then avoiding accountability when he gets criticized. He does this with everybody when the conversation gets slightly complex. I would love to chalk all this up to Ian just not knowing what he's talking about, but it's much more malicious than that. Ian is leaving out context on purpose.
He just got done capturing a massive progressive audience who are very politically savvy. They follow Hassan.
Ethan.
The word of the day is empathy.
I love that. That's the good word of the day, and that's a great word. Hold on.
The word of the day is empathy.
Great word to have on the screen. Will I go take a piss?
I think only in these past couple of years have I gained the ability empathy. And I'm very ashamed to admit that. It sounds really pathetic.
I think it does sound pathetic. I think it's hilarious when you imagine someone who's completely lacking empathy walking past the, like, what's that shitty fast food restaurant? Like Jack in the Box. The Jack in the Box tweaker sitting beside the speaker as you take your order. And you're just like, this person's subhuman. This person needs to be run over. I should run this person over. I'm Ian. I have no empathy. We should run this person over. This person sounds like you could take, like, Idubbbz sounds like he could shoot someone in cold blood and feel nothing. I had no empathy.
To say at the age of 32, I've acquired empathy.
It is. Idubbbz understanding the word empathy confuses me a bit. You see, when Ethan told a story about how CPS was falsely called because he talked about his kids getting sick, I felt bad for Ethan. Ian felt bad for the accusers.
I just, like, can't help myself but like feel for other people's pain and suffering now.
Now, once in the initial Content Cop video, did Ian mention that CPS was falsely called on Ethan and Gila? It makes the entire video horribly dishonest because it is the catalyst for this entire drama. If you watch the Content Cop, you would think that Ethan was dragging Idubbbz into a drama.
So, just to clarify, Idubbbz has not actually gained empathy. He's gained situational empathy. He feels bad for people only if his politics allow him to feel bad for somebody. If you are someone who Hassan says is worthy of death, or like maybe, let's just say, for example, you were in 9/11, he doesn't feel bad for you. He says that Hassan saying that America deserved 9/11 is actually someone who's very frustrated with America and yada, yada, yada. We don't actually care about the jumpers. We don't care about anyone who is in the fucking burning buildings. We care about Hassan making sure that he's understood when he says something inflammatory. You understand? It's crazy. He's not actually empathetic. He's situationally empathetic when it allows for him to be empathetic politically. Like, that's what he's actually trying to say.
Drama that he started for no reason.
And it's all culminated.
Metal, someone donated $9.11 and says 3,000 people did not die for this New Jersey motherfucker. I would agree with you, and thank you for the $9.
At least for my story. In Ethan burning bridges with people until he burned the bridge with me. Since Ethan and Hassan's falling out, I've been keeping to myself mostly. I don't have many nice things to say. Maybe if Ethan's able to get some help, maybe if he stops harassing other creators.
I have nothing nice to say, so I'm gonna go on into a content cop video and say not nice things. If you have nothing nice to say, then don't say it, Idubbbz. I thought you had empathy. No, this guy just decides that he's not gonna say anything until he wants to say something. It's totally arbitrary. It's completely random. It's RNG. Whether or not he wants to say something is just whether he wakes up and feels like saying something. It's not actually a consistent moral principle. It's just whenever he decides, like, yeah, I want to just fuck it.
I've been keeping to myself mostly. I don't have many nice things to say. Maybe if Ethan's able to get some help, maybe if he stops harassing other.
So he was keeping to himself until the content cop, which was not keeping to himself. Then he did a content deputy. Then he went on Noah Samson's live stream. Then he also not only kept to himself, but associated with 5 of the most outspoken Ethan Klein haters that the internet has seen and had them on the content cop. So I think that there's somewhere in between keeping to yourself and destroying someone's life. You decided to go far more on the destroying someone's life side of things than the keeping to yourself side of things. Let's just, make sure.
Creators. Maybe if he does these things, eventually he'll find peace.
Acheeto, I can't donate. I barely make enough to feed my nicotine addiction. What about my nicotine addiction? Have you ever thought about that?
And we can, rekindle our friendship.
These other creators are Frogan, who's Hassan's mod, and repeatedly would write that Ethan hates Arab for not supporting the October 7th terrorist attack.
Yeah.
On October 7th, she would write, leftists preach and foam at the mouth at the thought of revolution happening in America. But as soon as it happens in the Middle East, what they're doing is wrong. Ethan is apparently a racist for not supporting or calling for terrorist attacks. What else do you call
Pot of
Dennis
greed.
would argue that Israelis who do mandatory service should get Nuremberg trial, which was the execution of the 21 worst Nazis in World War II. Ethan's wife did mandatory service as a secretary, yet Gila is apparently the worst of the worst according to Idubbbz.
Personally not a fan of I had to do what I was forced to do. And I feel like you start getting really close to Nuremberg trial type shit there.
She'd hype up the guy who advocated for and jokingly takes credit for calling CPS.
That's his dog's shit all over his mansion, and he just leaves the shit on the floor, something that is probably related to the fact that his former housekeeper is suing him for a number of different reasons. So I would assume he doesn't actually have a housekeeper anymore, or perhaps he lost his extra housekeeper. So now the house is just covered in dog shit. And he has kids, and his kids crawl into the dog shit, and God forbid, I don't know what they do with it. I don't know if they eat it or if it's just from contact with it with their hands or something, but they contracted a parasite that I had previously never heard of in my life called Giardia from the dog shit that is all over his house.
Dude, how is it that
Chad, is this true?
Maybe once a week I look into what Ethan Klein's been up to, and every time I manage to find more and more terrible shit. Also, this is not a joking matter, by the way. It can be very severe and deadly to small children. I mean, much like many other illnesses, it's very, very, very dangerous when
a doctor is speaking.
Get the same sicknesses that adults get. There are lots of things that you can get as an adult. You're totally fine. You'll be A-okay. No problem. A child, a small infant that has no immune system, shouldn't be catching anything.
This chat is an edit compiling the worst messages from Denim's chat, but they are real. You can see the same messages in the top right, which is her live chat. So the guy who made the video is advocating CPS take his kids away. Denim's is talking about how careless and shocking it is of Ethan to put his kids in so much danger, as her chat is also echoing that his kids should be taken away. On top of—
And then they want to sit here and act like they played no part in it. I will say Bad Empanada at least was consistent with his views. He did say that the kids should be taken away, and he stuck by that since day one. So I guess I even hesitate to say credit to him, because credit to him for consistency is barely worth nothing if what he's being consistent with is the worst thing ever. That's like saying oh, you're a Nazi. Well, I've always said I was a Nazi. Oh, that's true. Well, credit for consistency. It's just not worth giving you credit for anything. This guy gets no credit. But I will say the people who have acted like they've never supported this thing are a little bit fucking pathetic when we can go and see the clips. People who want to act oh, hey, it's terrible that this has happened to you. I only was part of the widespread, come on. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? It's just not acceptable to act like you want to distance yourself from this now because it's bad. It's all optics. It's always been optics. Thank you for the $5.
wanting Gila, the mother of his children, executed.
Also, very classy. Response to Ethan Klein, and he's playing some sort of video game where he's gonna know Russian, know Israeli, whatever the fuck.
Not a role plays.
Secretary got.
Meanwhile, Ian saying,
Secretary gone. This guy, by the way, I mean, like I've said this before. I mean, like I don't know how you grow up and then you're just like this job. How are you this jobbed? I don't get it. How does this work? What do you do to get this jobbed? Reverse looks maxing. I don't know.
Kids away. Denims is talking about how careless and shocking it is of Ethan to put his kids in so much danger. Ezra Chad is also echoing that his kids should be taken away. On top of wanting Gila, the mother of his children, executed, which Bad Empanada role plays.
This is what he role plays. He does this in his free time. His enjoyment comes from playing a video game and fake assassinating Ethan Klein's wife. Like, get a fucking job. Boo, did I scare you? I'm a job application. Like, you're fucking poor. You're broke. You're broke. You're broke. Like, rich people don't do this. Rich people do not fucking role play assassinating Gila Klein in open source Unity engine fan game.
Secretary got.
Meanwhile, Ian's saying, look how unhinged and crazy Ethan's acting. He even went after Matt Lieb.
Is a hot dog a sandwich? When did you get here? What kind of question is that? I would say yes.
He's finding new people every day, basically, to get in fights with.
Of all people, this guy, Matt Lieb.
Matt Lieb is in this, like, middle tier. His valuable association is Rhett and Link. So, Rhett and Link, conveniently, are also in this category of popular and powerful men who Ethan does not want to burn bridges with. I think Ethan only respects power right now, which is one of the reasons I made this video in the first place.
You have no power, though. Like, I guess, I mean, I suppose from a friend perspective, like, he is one of the more famous people that Ethan Klein is friends with. But, I mean, the only reason that Idubbbz really has, like, power in this proxy war is because of his association with Hassan.
Ethan only respects power right now, which is one of the reasons I made this video in the first place.
The important context, Ian, is that Matt Lieb is constantly platforming Bad Empanada as a good guy.
We both have bad in our, YouTube names. And yet we are both good. What do you make of that?
Am I good? I don't know.
I think you're good.
Matt Lieb has also tweeted out, we gotta save them kids, referring to people trying to get CPS to take away Ethan's children. Ethan and Healer are simply asking Ian to tweet out that this is crazy, something I and many other creators who have never spoken to the H3 crew did easily. If the same thing happened to Hassan, I would come to his defense, because it's not online banter or disagreements at that point, it's real life harassment. When CPS showed up to Ethan's house, Denim seemingly—
And that's something that Idubbbz, who has gained empathy at the ripe age of 27, you'd think would be able to understand when it goes past just hate comments and you're cringe. No, you uno reverse. I don't like your content. I think that you're cringe. And it's like, it goes beyond that the moment that kids are involved, right? And you can say, well, maybe it was never about you're cringe. It was about you support Israel, and so that's largely different. I don't think it is. I think that largely the way that people interpret this stuff is the same. I think if you look at the way that Leafy got mass hate when Idubbbz released his content cop is similar to the way that Ethan is getting mass hate from these same communities. The only difference is that Leafy never had kids. Leafy never was able to be visited by the FBI or CPS. I would argue that Leafy got more hate than Ethan ever did. And, I would argue that the material harm, though, that was caused by Ethan receiving a CPS call is infinitely worse than all the online hate, which I would argue Leafy got more of than Ethan. Like, that's way worse. And so I would say overall— it's just like, yeah, it goes too far. It goes way too far. You can never justify this stuff unless he's actually abusing his kids, which he's not. I think Ethan Klein's rich as shit. I think he's giving his kids a great life. And I think that if you're going to argue that by his dog having some sort of bacterial disease that he's trying to poison his kids, you're a bad faith actor, you're a piece of shit, you're a propagandist, and you're worth nothing. I don't know, bruh.
Justifies it, saying kids can't form memories at 5, so who—
Dude, I'm gonna be honest, Ethan Klein's 2 worst crimes. Number 1, the clip of where he says that working out is a waste of your time. I remember that because I've been inundated with it through Sigma Funk edits that tell me to lift, and if I don't PR, my family's gay and I get shot. And Teddy Fresh, this brand that he has, I don't like. I think Teddy Fresh is overpriced garbage. Apart from that, I don't think he's that bad of a person.
Showed up to Ethan's house.
I think everybody else involved in this is so much worse. I mean, let's go back. Like, what videos have I made on Ethan Klein? I said, do not trust Ethan Klein, and Ethan Klein is beyond cringe. Ethan Klein is not very smart. So I made 3 videos on Ethan Klein. One of them was a tweet where he said, being white isn't a race. That's stupid. One of them was when it was something with the Bo Blacks plushies, I think. And then Do Not Trust Ethan Klein, I think I don't even remember, dude. I don't even remember, but it's the fact that I don't remember is sort of like telling, right? If it was actually significant, then it would have mattered.
Justifies it, saying kids can't form memories at 5, so who cares?
I think it's embarrassing for Hila here to be like, this is so traumatic for the kids. You're trying to traumatize the children. It's like, dog, you literally, the vast majority of people are like, are not remembering anything that happened to them at 3. It's just sympathy, right? It's just, she's just pulling like the IDF classic card of like, please, my life is so difficult. Please, everyone that is against us needs awful experiences because we're the ones dealing with the real awful experiences.
You're trying to take her kids away. That seems reasonable to complain about as a mother.
I was like, I really don't want you to create any bad memory here for
Who
them.
watches
like,
this? Who actually sits down and takes time out of their day to watch this shit? You know how self-conscious I get when I'm not making good content? You never make good content. I know. It's all slop. I understand that. But the idea that this is somehow more elevated than what I do is laughable. This is equally, if not more slop than what I do. Like, you're posted up in the right side of my screen acting just foolish. You're goofy. You a goofy, bruh. Hey, bro, you a goofy. Hey, you a goofy as fuck, bruh.
5 and 3.
Look at this. Is this not goofy as fuck?
They don't understand this shit. So I told him,
like, we have the same microphone. We're doing the same job. You're terrible. You're not a fucking entertainer. If I was factory reset, like if I had no subs or no anything, no motion, I could build something. She couldn't. Her entire audience is siphoned from people who are susceptible to brainwashing. She has a bunch of mental patients in her audience that like being brainwashed, and she brainwashes them. Her and Hassan, that's what they do. They find people who are susceptible to propaganda, and then they act as the role of the propagandist. And that's awesome, and that's cool, and that's great. And that's how they make money, and that's awesome. But I will say at the end of the day, if you were removed from your platform where you had this audience, you'd have nothing. You would have literally nothing. If you had no audience, you'd have nothing. You wouldn't be able to get a new audience because you'd have to find the people and handpick the ones that are most susceptible to propaganda. And that's a hard task. Most people can't do that. It takes them years to do that. And it would take you years. It would take you decades.
Create any bad memory for them. You're not forming memories at 3 years old, and it's very rare that you're forming memories at 5 years old.
Behavioral psychologist speaking.
Nah, yes, you are. No, you're not. When we're talking about being able to remember, being able to recall memories.
She's one of the people that was born with the curse of being, I'm going to find a way to not get banned. She's one of the people that was born with the unfortunate display of looking stupid, and so she unfortunately has to prove that she's smart with every sentence to beat the stereotype that based on the way that she looks, she is stupid. Unfortunately, she sounds as stupid as she looks. How does she look stupid? Let me explain something to you. Her looking like this for 90% of the stream on the right side of the screen doesn't look smart. It just doesn't. And when she opens her mouth, maybe she has the chance to fucking redeem herself. She doesn't.
You're not forming memories at 3 years old.
She's stupid.
And it's very rare that you're forming memories at 5 years old.
If you're worried about the R word, Nux Taku says it all the time. That's not what I was worried about, trust.
Nah, yes, you are. No, you're not. When we're talking about being able to remember, being able to recall memories, it's like 4 is the cutoff. But even if you...
It's the cutoff is 4, so you stop remembering things once you turn 4. It's the cutoff. You don't know the words that you're saying, so maybe just be an ASMR streamer. Just make sounds. That's what you should do. That's what you should be doing. You should be using your ability to produce sounds because there are people that are mute. There are people who can't make any sounds. You should be using your privilege to make sounds on that. Make slurping sounds. That's what you should do. Do not fucking speak, okay? Just don't.
You are forming any memories at 4, you're not going to be able to remember them past like...
That's bullshit. I remember trivial shit from when I was 5. Yeah, me too. One of my earliest memories was there was a vent on the floor of a house, and I was sitting on the vent because I like the warm air on my body, and I remember it. That's it. Like
15. You have maybe 1 or 2 memories.
She then reads the exact opposite on stream when she looks it up, but then chooses to repeat that she was right.
There's a wide variation about the mean across methods, cohorts. The average age of adults' earliest memories is 3.5 years old. You're not really forming memories at 3.
You literally just read out of your mouth that the average adult starts forming memories at 3. What is happening?
All of these people
She's so stupid.
want to take your kids away because you don't co-sign everything they say. If you don't fall in line with your language, they will try to ruin you.
Again, it's not that she's stupid. I don't have a problem with stupid people. Kai Cenat doesn't sit here and try to tell us that he understands behavioral psychology. That's awesome. That's cool. He runs Streamer University. I love that. Denhams, on the other hand, decides to sit there and act like she knows anything. She reads something that proves her wrong, indisputably, and doubles down on it like a fucking ape. You're a fucking ape, dude. You're primal raging. You're doing a Winston. I want to be Winston. Yeah, I know you want to be Winston. You're fucking acting like Winston right now. It's so crazy. Like, I mean, how does anyone watch this shit? I mean, what is her chat saying during this?
Of adults' earliest memories is 3.5 years old.
What is this? My only memory from that age is having surgery. That's a, hey, dummy, that's a memory. My only memory, yeah, a memory.
Old. You're not really forming memories at 3.
You literally just read out of your mouth that the average adult starts forming memories at 3. What is happening?
All of these people want to take your kids away because you don't co-sign everything they say. If you don't fall in line with your language, they will try to.
You can see the gears grinding when she tries to think. Yeah, keyword try. She's not necessarily thinking too hard. She's just kind of sitting there and allowing for the information to go in one ear and out the other as she repeats something that she said a minute ago. She's a fucking stupid idiot, bro.
You literally...
How? I mean, like, at least I have more money than her. That's something that I think is good. It makes me happy to realize that at the end of the day, I have more money than her. Because if she had more money than me, then I'd be really distraught. I'd be disturbed. I'd be very worried. I'd be like, what did I do wrong? At least I know. At least I'm okay.
Literally just read.
Eyeliner carries? No, it doesn't. Let's just keep it a buck. Let's just stop.
What is happening?
All of these people want to take your kids away because you don't co-sign everything.
I mean, sorry. I gotta stop talking.
What is happening?
All of these people want to take your kids away because you don't co-sign everything they say. If you don't fall in line with your language, they will try to ruin you. Denhams would go on to say that she doesn't condone people calling CPS, but she justified it. Even as she speaks, her chat is calling for CPS.
We're talking about CPS. 1, I don't condone. 2, I've never condoned it, and you will not be able to find a clip of me saying, yes, we should do this, because it doesn't exist. I've literally given Ethan Klein credit on multiple times or multiple instances, and I will do it again right now, for not showing photos of his kids.
I'm sure there's anti-Semitic people that are attacking you guys, but they're not me.
It's her. After seeing all of this, because Ian does know about it, he says Denhams is his friend, but Ethan is a halfway friend for wanting him to speak up.
Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We are friends with Denham. We think that she's a good person like we think Ethan and Neela are good people. Kind of a tricky situation. How can you possibly think that they're both good people at their...
I think the difference is that one of them is married with children that need to be protected and not used as pawns in a ongoing YouTube drama. And one of them is a childless, barely conscious idiot who streams to an audience of zoo animals.
Core.
It's not tricky at all. She's acting like a demon.
People can have crash out moments. People can say things that they don't mean. People can say things because they want internet clout and attention. I don't know.
Yeah, that's like what she's doing.
No, I think they're both probably guilty of saying things that they don't mean for internet clout and attention.
I think there's a difference between saying something you don't mean and then doubling down on something that is not true live. Holy shit, dude. Oh.
Right now.
She literally said, I'm going to give Ethan Klein credit on this thing, and then decided that actually, well, that thing I'm going to give him credit on is that he's not showing his kids on the internet. But however, I mean, it's just like, what's the point of saying that if everything you're actually doing is in opposition to that, like, credit? Like,
a little bit more fucking nasty to me than the other.
You've lost your mind.
I'm still not perfect. I think that is, my empathy meter's only maybe like a quarter of the way filled up, potentially, but it's at least there. And I just want you guys to know that you can...
Who talks like this? Who views the world in this way? My empathy meter, yes, I call it that. I call it that. My hunger bar. Like, or what the fuck is this, like, my life is like a video game? Like, what? Who thinks like this? You just are either empathetic or you're not. There's no meter. There's no invisible stat tracking. This isn't CSGO. You're not getting a stat track. Like, I'm confused.
Ability, empathy.
This is the empathy you've learned, empathizing with the people who want to take away his kids and kill his wife. But to Ian, both of these people are crashing out equally.
I actually have a lot of friendships that are kind of that way, where it's like, one of the friends doesn't fuck with the other friend, but there is someone in the middle who kind of fucks with both of them. but separately. Yeah, there's a lot of friendships that are like that. I'm not gonna make you guys like meet up and kiss or anything.
This isn't just some petty beef where they just can't get along.
This
if
is
your friend
correct.
is screwing up, you should be able to tell them. But Ian knows that. He just thinks Ethan's the one screwing up. It's genuinely evil that Ian doesn't disclose the extent of the harassment in this video. His audience has no idea because he omits it. Even in his follow-up content deputy, the extent of the harassment is never disclosed. Instead, he tries to find examples of Ethan being dishonest.
Because if he had to explain the extent of the harassment, it would really show people how fucked what Ian's trying to do is. Because if you look at the backlash that Ethan has had, it's not backlash. It is FBI visits, skulls being sent, CPS visits, and prolonged life inhibiting things that they break through the barrier of the internet to the real world. And I believe Ethan Klein was also accosted by a Hassan fan and asked to like explain the wrongdoings of Israel, some shit like that, correct? And if you look at the other side, it's like, well, what has Ian had to deal with because of this? Okay, some dislikes in the content cop. Oh, gotcha.
And they're just wrong.
Ethan Klein uses this very deceptively edited video that is just like doing this smooth scroll to make it seem like that's all of Denham's chat. But that's not what it is. And then when he's called out on it, he hides it. He moves his window over the real chat.
Also, this is not a joking matter, by the way. It can be very severe and deadly to small children.
Dude, it is Denham's chat. It's just a compilation of the messages. If Idubbbz just watches the original clip that Ethan is commenting on, you can find the same messages in the chat.
And then the idea that it's deceptively edited, like it has to be deceptively edited, is so funny. You don't have to edit shit for the point to still be made. Like if you look at the way she's speaking and the people in her audience are speaking, the point makes itself. These people are donuts. Like, I love British insults. I'm gonna start using them. You're a fucking donut. Fucking torture him. You're a fucking bellend. What is it? You're a nonce. You're a fucking nonce. You're a you're fucking donut. Are you dense? Bruv, are you good, bruv? I think it's great, but the idea that they're anything besides donuts is laughable. They're donuts, okay? Can we get some clips of that, of people saying donuts? I want notable British people saying the word donut, so we can use that here. Like Morgs. I love Morgs. I miss Morgs. You're a donkey. Donkey. That's a good one. Let's add that to the belt. I'll pull that one out when I need it.
It was called Content Cop, but there is no investigation.
A sausage? Do Brits say that?
And then just goes full mask off and says the CPS call was wholly justified.
To be honest, I'm very proud that I didn't immediately jump to Ethan and Neela's defense, because when you look into the story, it actually looks a lot for Ethan and Neela. And I do mean that literally. There was this H3 stream where Ethan was dumping as per usual. He was talking about his own health. He was talking about his caca breath, his dog having diarrhea, his dog having giardia.
Olive has giardia. It's a bacterial infection in the intestines that makes you have diarrhea.
His child running around putting things in their mouth.
Sonny's crawling around. He's putting everything in his mouth. He's at that age. He has giardia.
The whole family possibly having giardia.
Oh,
and now Ela has giardia.
Shut.
People are looking at number 2, the child puts everything in his mouth clip to justify, or sorry, not to justify, to say that the kids are eating shit. They're not eating shit. Bacteria travels, bacteria moves. And so anything in a house that's contaminated will have that same thing. You don't have to literally eat shit to get the disease. And so, yeah, like the idea that the kid has shit breath or that Ethan has shit breath is just, I mean, you're basically giving the justification for calling CPS in the most dishonest way possible, which is the only way that you would be able to give it, because calling CPS is not justified in this case.
And now I think this morning I had diarrhea.
Oh my God.
Mentioned diarrhea a lot.
Crazy diarrheas like in the...
I mean, look, that's like saying that I have, I got strep from kissing my fucking roommate or something. But like, no, it's like the strep is just because like I'm touching the same things that my roommate is touching. Like we're using the same dishes. This is so dishonest.
Middle of the night, you wash your hands as best you can, but these are really nasty diarrheas.
I guess this is all you need to justify calling CPS, according to Ian.
So of course, Ethan, having made so many enemies over the years, other people react to his content. And when other people see that he's talking about his children getting giardia from dog poop, people are quite reasonably concerned. And so, yes.
Quite reasonably. So basically, in his opinion, the people who already hate him and have always hated him and are looking for something more to hate him with are justified in the in the giardia stuff. These are people who, no matter what, want something to hate him for, and this thing just so happens to fit to fit their interests. Like, they want this to happen. If Ethan Klein's kid tripped and fell because of like a lack of balance, they would be like, "Holy shit! Thank God this happened. Now I have another reason to hate Ethan Klein." Because surely the reason the kid tripped and fell is because Ethan Klein tripped him.
Who's seeing that content might be concerned enough to call CPS, including Ethan's own chat, which, by the way, is not a measly number. It's about 26,000 at the time of this stream.
What's more likely, Ethan's chat laughing and goofing around, or Denham's chat saying call CPS and then CPS shows up 3 days later? It's obviously Denham's. He's being dishonest. Ian also says that it's completely reasonable to call CPS over kids getting Giardia. It's not. You do one Google search, talk to any doctor, you'll find out that it's extremely common among children. The idea that parents can't tell a story about how their kids got sick without having to worry about a CPS call is frankly insane. Ethan's kid didn't even end up having Giardia, not that that matters. It's wild that Ian puts the blame on Ethan.
Why does it have to be anyone else's fault but your own? Take some fucking responsibility.
For what? Do you think he called CPS on himself? Is it his fault people want to murder his wife too? Yes, according to Ian.
They just implied that we are okay with people using CPS as harassment.
You literally just said you were okay with it.
And when other people see that he's talking about his children getting Giardia,
he basically says that the reason that it took place is something that he fully understands and would put himself in those people's shoes.
From dog poop, people are quite reasonably
concerned. So they're quite reasonably concerned. And when he says people are quite reasonably concerned, he may as well say that I'm quite reasonably concerned, because everybody who's saying that, he's friends with.
Okay, did a lizard person kill him and start wearing his skin? Brother, put back on your glasses and uncross your eyes, because you're not seeing straight. This guy got called a simp and a cuck, realized that people being mean to you on the internet wasn't fun, and then deleted all of his content cop videos because he found empathy. But this is the most soulless and cruel video he has ever uploaded. Even at the end of the video, when he says he's crying for Ethan, he's really crying for himself.
You know, I also see the dynamic of Ethan and Neil. Like it's really hard to be a couple online and see people attacking your partner, and it's like, okay, like if you come to their defense, that doesn't always help them. Right? Sometimes that
what the fuck is this, bro?
Okay, so now imagine it's not just
what
him
are we
and his
doing?
life. It's his entire family, his employees, his pets. Use that empathy, buddy. I want to wrap up this segment on empathy by talking about some racist dog whistles. And I don't mean it in the same way Hassan means it, where he calls everything racist. Someone says they don't like using a bidet while vacationing in Japan. Racist.
Kind of fun in the beginning, and now it's just getting really, really annoying. I just kind of want to wipe my butt like a normal person.
Wait, what? Why is he making it seem like you have to wash your ass? Bro, here's how you want to know something about white supremacy? You want to know something about white supremacy? You can go anywhere on the planet. If you're white and you criticize something, no one thinks you're a fucking barbaric caveman. But because he's fucking white and he's in a non-white country, people still don't understand that is literally a barbarian going, grug, That is internalized white supremacy.
This person's a fucking worm.
Inside of all of us. Where because
it's not inside of all of us. You can't internalize white supremacy if you're not white. Internalizing something has to do with the fact that you are the thing. That's like saying internalized fat phobia is because you're fat and you hate yourself.
Because the Western world, the Western ethnocentric, Anglo-Saxon domination is so fucking pervasive that we look at that and our immediate reaction isn't like, oh, he's a barbarian.
Yo, this guy's retarded. Someone calls him stupid, racist dog whistle.
Hassan didn't mean to insult me. He simply reached the narrow limits of his understanding of the world. Dude, I literally...
You are a fucking...
I can't do this. The narrow limits. Yeah, dude. Just say I'm a Turk roach with a cockroach brain and move on, okay? Yeah.
The idea that you have narrow limits to your ability to understand things is true, but it's not because you're Turkish. It's because you're a propagandist, and propagandists are only able to conceptualize things based on the propaganda that they're not only ingesting but digesting.
Saying it, dude. Okay, this motherfucker not
racist.
Exactly out of the alt-right pipeline. Okay, straight up, dude.
But Ian having the choice between 10 different swords in Hassan's house and landing on the swastika one, not a dog whistle.
God forbid you pick up a sword in here, okay?
I was thinking about doing some sort of ritual in here.
No more swords, okay?
I'm the one who thoughtlessly picked up the sword. We were grabbing a lot of props in Hassan's room, and there are a lot of props.
There's a lot of anti-Semitic props, and he just chose that
Right.
anti-Semitic one as opposed to the other anti-Semitic ones.
There's only one prop in Hassan's house that has a swastika, and you just so happen to pick up that one. Now, I know
Whoops.
this sword was from an anime, and people, including Ethan, were...
Is Bleach worth watching? I don't know. I haven't seen it, and I'm not a big anime guy, but I did watch a few episodes of this one show called Psychopaths, and I watched the first few episodes of Attack on Titan. Haven't watched it, haven't fully seen it. Not a big anime fan. Open to it. No, Berserk. I've read... Well, I was going to go up and get the mangas, but I've read a bit of Berserk, and I love Berserk. And you can see if I go to my starting soon screen, I have the Berserk here. I fuck with Berserk. I don't know. I'll take Rex.
willing to give everybody the best.
Thank you for the $20. Whenever I hear Hassan speak, I lose brain cells. Oh, that makes sense. I understand. There's an active war between yours and his, and yours are going to lose because it's a stupidity contest.
Benefit of the doubt on this.
I don't want to talk about Hassan's sword. I don't want to talk about Hassan's sword hilt because Ethan himself basically admitted already multiple times he doesn't think any of us did that intentionally. And he would be right.
Do I think any of them actually like wanted to put a swastika in the photo? No,
Yeah,
that's no. I don't actually think that.
But what Ian purposely omits is later in that same podcast, Ethan discovers that Hassan knew nothing about the anime and refers to that sword as the swastika sword.
This one's sicker. Wait, that's a little sus. That's
questionable. Kind of sus.
Immediately goes for the swastika one. Got it.
It doesn't seem like a coincidence, but it gets better. A point of contention between Ethan and Hassan is that Hassan calls Jewish people inbred. Sometimes he specifies he only means settlers. Other times it seems like he's just throwing it out there.
I should go to the old city so I can get my fucking shit pushed in by some of the most inbred fundamentalist hicks.
When Hassan is debating Ethan and they're talking about this, what does Anissa tweet out? Inbred. It's very intentional. It's meant to make Ethan feel paranoid about anti-Semitism being normalized online. It clearly is among all of these people.
This looks like a swastika.
Yeah, totally. Or do you think that now that it's been pointed out that he should remove the photo at least? Take it down?
No. Why would he take it down? That'd be crazy.
It's always policing content. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Policing content.
Where else have I heard that phrase?
Didn't you participate in a series called Content Pop?
I was just thinking
You want
the
to
same
talk to me about policing content? You f***ing dipshit, dude.
So what did we learn about empathy? Empathy is when you sympathize with people who falsely try to break up families because they hear someone got sick, siding with people making death threats and preying on people's seemingly real fears of anti-Semitism being normalized. Empathy is when you don't honestly represent the other person's arguments and you just lie by omission to all of your viewers. For as much as Ian claims to have grown as a person, he has never lied like this before. The content cop Ian regrets most is on Tana Mojo, and after Ian apologized to her, she says she didn't deserve it.
But I'm more so just talking about like his actions to me, like, you know, him showing up to my show, him kind of putting me on blast, him inevitably making me kind of canceled and lose subscribers and have to apologize and all that type of stuff. I kind of think I like deserved that. And maybe that's like dark, like to say, but like I don't feel like I'm owed an apology. I think I would be a completely different person if I didn't have that. I think it like I was on track to just be so on my high horse and like egotistical and like nothing could go wrong, that something going wrong gave me such a dose of reality that like this might not last forever. Like, yeah, you need to be held accountable for actions.
This is real growth. This is maturity. What you are is a small person who doesn't have confidence in making their content anymore, so you cling on to these vampires while projecting your own insecurities onto Ethan.
It's so hard for me on my podcast to like loosen up. It's incredibly hard. I talked about it in my apology. Like, I am so insecure about my ability to entertain. I think he feels the same, to be honest. I don't think he said as much.
Dude, this is classic projection. Ian cannot fucking manage to come up with a joke now, so he thinks that Ethan is too insecure to make jokes anymore. This is projection, like 101 over here. What are you talking about?
Come on, dude. You're one step away from calling me a cuck. Just take the plunge.
You're a cuck. But even worse, you're mentally cucked. You're sitting...
I think one thing that Idubbbz doesn't understand is that although Ethan Klein was a creator at the same time that he was, that not everyone has fallen off in the same way. I would even argue that Leafy hasn't even fallen off this hard, and I haven't heard from him in 2 or 3 years. When he came back to Rumble, he was getting like 4,000 viewers a stream, and he was making like at least a few $100s each stream, and he was getting paid. And then like people, you know, that you can look at his Twitter comeback. I'm sure you can call it a grift, you can call it racist, whatever you want to call it. It was a desperate cry for attention. But if you want to talk about people's ability to entertain, I think people's, like, even if Leafy wants to rage bait for attention and then use that attention to take a small fraction, to use the attention to get a small fraction of you viewers, like, it's still getting viewers, that's still getting people that are interested in what you have to say because you're entertaining. Idubbbz just doesn't have that, bro. And look, bro, I have 200 people watching the stream right now. I have 500,000 subscribers. That's a very small fraction of my audience, or I shouldn't say audience, of my subscribers that are watching this. I'm not insecure one bit. I know that if I really wanted to, I could take something from, you know, from dead to alive and vice versa. I've been lazy. I've been doing things that have killed my channel off a little bit, but part of that's necessary. Part of that is shedding off old dead skin, and part of that is because I want to change. I want to do things that may not be interesting to my current audience. I want to stream. I love streaming, and I understand that there's a price you pay for that. I think Idubbbz doesn't understand the price that he's paid for completely criticizing and chastising people who used to find him funny is a smaller audience, and he's very, because of that, insecure of his ability to entertain. That's the reality of it. He's not aware of why people are not watching him, or he is, I should say, insecure that people are not going to watch him. Because entertainment, the way you measure it, how entertained are you? Well, are people watching you? It's a good way to measure it, right?
Sitting on his San stream in the cuck chair as he's all over drama streamers, slowly realizing that you fit the description.
That's part of the reason why I often don't fight back against a lot of these people that are fueling these hate raids and brigades, is because I know I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing.
That's misreporting the news and lying.
And eventually all of that is going to be background noise. And those people, hate raids, they have a I know shelf life. They have a shelf life because they don't have the same stubborn nature that I do. They don't have the same interests as I do. They inevitably become their own worst enemies. They inevitably cook themselves. You might think you're riding high on the slop for a little bit. You might think you're getting showered with praise. An army of anonymous Redditors telling you you're brilliant. But at the end of the night, when you go home and you sit down and you look yourself in the mirror, you're not going to recognize who you've become. That's it. It's turning into a lolcow of a different variety. That's what I think.
That's so mean.
It's mean because it's you.
That's true.
Ian's empathy tour ends with him blindsiding all of his fighters after tainting it with this drama. According to Harley, the main event fighter for Creator Clash 1, 2, and 3, H3's audience was a big percentage of the ticket sales and promotion for the event.
H3 sold the most tickets to Creator Clash 1 and 2, I believe. I think they did a lot of tickets.
Wait. Is that true?
I would think that, wouldn't you? Like, what else? What other entity promoted Creator Clash?
Well, I think that personally, but I'm not the current headliner for the third card, so they want to hear it from you, not me.
The H3 podcast promoted Creator Clash 1 and 2 more than anyone. So, of course, Ian...
Well, because they wasn't part of his production fighting.
...makes a video on Ethan alienating that whole audience, but also making the war in the Middle East a fundamental talking point of the event.
I don't know about the other fighters, but just for me... Like, I'm just kind of like, oh, cool, the fun little charity fundraiser has now been attached to a decades-long bloody...
That's also true, yeah.
It's whatever. Cool. You know, it's not really like the fun sentiment I had. They did a temperature check on my team. They called my team, and they were like, how do you guys doing? How do you feel about everything? And, you know, they spoke to my guy, and he was like, not that good. Not that cool of a thing. And then they hit me up, and I was like, well, how does everyone else feel about it? And they were like, everyone loves it. Everyone's fine. Everyone's great. Your team's a little wonky about it, but everyone's good.
Oh God.
And I was like, well, I guess, yeah. I mean, I think I'm the only Jewish person on the card. And I know it's not like the content cop I know was supposed to be about like Ethan's behavior.
Yeah, then it turned into Content Cop Israel.
Yeah.
And the content deputy, Idubbbz and Anissa would claim that they are no longer affiliated with Creator Clash and that they informed the fighters.
Anissa and I have decided to step away from Creator Clash. We have relinquished control to our business partners who ran the previous 2 events. They're very capable. They know exactly what they're doing. They run events on a regular basis. The event is still happening. Anissa and I just don't have any financial time.
And I think that's a good thing. I think that it's still happening is good because I think raising money for charity is good. I think that I think it's good that you're not part of it. I think that you're terrible at organizing events. I don't think you can run a successful boxing event.
We don't have any ownership. We've already told all the fighters.
Anyway, I think Creator Clash 3, at the end of the day, is an interesting thing to do after seeing the failure of Creator Clash 2. The negative... the loss, like the negative money you've raised for charity, okay? The losses that you've bared the brunt of. It's crazy to try that again, but hey, fair enough, man. Fair enough.